Welcome to another week of Theology and Youth Ministry. This week, I want to talk about teaching our students to be more than just good people. To illustrate this, I want to share with you a little bit of my religious upbringing. I didn't grow up in the church. I grew up in a Jewish synagogue. And for me, my Sundays looked like waking up, going to Hebrew school, going to Sunday school, learning a little bit about the Bible, but essentially preparing for my bar mitzvah. I even would go on Tuesdays as well, Tuesday nights, to do more Hebrew practice to make sure that I was ready for my bar mitzvah when I turned 13. What was the point was to prepare myself to fulfill my obligations to essentially my religion. There was very little interaction with God, very little understanding of who God is and my relationship with Him. It was more so for me just coming in and learning how to be a good Jew, how to fulfill my obligations to my Jewish heritage, and essentially to carry out that to the rest of the world, to be a good Jew in the world. What was missing in all of that time spent in Sunday school and at the temple was understanding my need for God. There was nothing taught to me that God was relevant, that I needed to have a relationship with Him. He was just part of what I did, but really not necessary. And so as I got older, I kind of just developed this idea that God was irrelevant. I didn't really need Him. There was nothing in my life that required me to have a relationship with God, as long as I was being a good person, as long as I was following the rules. And so as youth leaders, it is so important to teach our students more than just this moralistic, therapeutic deism, this you feel better by doing good type of philosophy. We need to be teaching students how to have a relationship with God. And we do that by first setting our goal for our youth ministry to be introducing our students to God so they can know Him and have a knowledge of Him, teaching them theology. This means we teach them about God's character and His nature. We teach things like the Trinity. We look at the different persons of the triune God. We teach core Christian biblical doctrines. We go over the hard stuff and we make it relevant. We help them to understand how this knowledge applies to their everyday life. And so with that, we have to teach them that theology is relevant and that it's practical to them. I think a great verse to illustrate this is Hebrews 4:15. Right? We don't have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but was tempted in every way as we are, yet was without sin. What we see in that verse is we see God stepping into our world and experiencing humanity the way we do. He was tempted. He was hungry. He was tired. He was persecuted. He suffered. And yet He was without sin. We have a God who can relate to us. We can relate to Him. And so it's important as youth leaders to communicate that to our students so that they have a personal relationship with God and that God's not some distant being that they can't know. Our students need to see that God cares about them so that they turn to Him for their needs when they're in need, instead of turning to the world who only fakes to care about them. And then finally, we just need to teach our students how to seek after God themselves. We need to share with them essentially how we seek after God, what the Bible says to do to seek after God. So when you do small groups, have the students expound on the text themselves. Teach them how to look at the context, to look at the interpretation of that context, and to apply that interpretation to their lives. Teach them with passion and enthusiasm. Share your love for God with them. Let them see what a joy-filled and fulfilled relationship with God looks like. As you guys know, being a Christian means being in a relationship, a personal relationship with our Creator. It should be full of joy and it should be fulfilling. So help your students understand that. Help your students see that God is a God who is personal, who is relatable. Teach them everything that you can about who He is. Share your faith with them and show them that a relationship with God, that being a Christian is more than just being a good person.